moving on to the biggest race of the day, the Derby, 2,500 metres, 3-year-olds Group 1. What is this race? What is really going on? Observer, after the arrogant win last week, is a $2.15 favourite, so it's drawn pretty perfectly in barrier 4. It's really a question of, can anything else beat it? Should it be this price? You've got a few horses that have been running against each other frequently. So Autumn Mystery, Miwa, Options, Engine of War have been in a lot of the same races. Azazel's coming out of winning the Geelong Classic. Providence is the Sydney horse that ran really well last time at Moonee Valley behind Observer, and they must have had quite a rap on it because it was $8 in the previous run before that, where it ran at Warwick Farm and ran at Rosehill, ran down the track behind Shangri-La Boy off a very slow speed. So it was entitled to finish there. And then at Moonee Valley, it's chewed up the ground late to storm into second. So that's $7. That's one of the next picks, if not the second favourite. You've got Arcora, who is 40-1, but in the tote pool, which has only got $2,600 in it, it's a $2.90 favourite. So there have been some early bets on this horse at 40-1. O'Shamus is also coming out of that Moonee Valley race, a really hot third. It was held up for a run, and then it motored 2 with Providence to finish behind Observer. Amazaki will go forward. A few outsiders. Savvy Sand has been in okay form at Woody. That's a bit of a preamble. So really, it's the world versus Observer. Is Observer going to win at this $2.15 price? Can anything really improve to beat it? Let's just fill out those runners a bit. So Observer did have that great win last time. It led pretty much the whole way. It ran some really slow sectionals in the middle of that race, 12.5 seconds, 13 seconds, sort of maybe 1,400 to the 400. So it was entitled to boot clear, and it did. High Vol ran in the Geelong Classic, ran super slow sectionals, and still didn't win. Azazel sort of came from 7th to overpower it. So I don't think that's any chance, but I do think that it will come across and try to lead with Crack a Deal. And that is interesting merely for the fact that there really is no speed in this race. There's no horse that you can say definitely wants to lead and set a really strong tempo. High Vol and Crack a Deal will come across from wide gates and probably try and lead, take it up if the position becomes available to them, but they might not fight for it super hard otherwise. And you've really got not a lot of speed going on. Autumn Mystery is going to probably go back from barrier 17. Can't really see that risking its situation to fight for the pace. The field will probably string out a lot. I'll go through the speed map in a second. Miwa's been in good form. I really didn't get this horse, and I wrote it off about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I didn't understand why it was favourite at Moonee Valley, and that's steadily proved me more and more wrong. That's been really good. At Flemington, it was just a second to Options, and at Caulfield it was just behind Autumn Mystery. Both of those races you could sort of throw a blanket over the finish. There were a lot of horses in the length behind the winner, so that makes it a little bit tricky to know as well whether there's a real gap between any of them or who's going to improve the most. Providence, it was a slashing second, but still hasn't won a race. Craig Williams on board, it's drawn in 12. Probably what will happen is it will go back from that gate and it will be behind Options and Miwa in this race, and the race probably won't be run very fast. So it really would be difficult to win from back there, and it might well run on into another slashing placing or 4th, but really it will have a lot to do unless it tries to go forward and change up its regular strategy. O'Shamus, I think, will position itself very well from barrier 5. Kieran McAvoy's been brought on to replace Damian Lanes, and you're getting a Kieran McAvoy, you're getting a perfect gate. The $3.70 place for that looks really tempting. Engine of War, it's hard to know. Last time they tried to go forward, didn't really suit. I don't think it's a horse that particularly liked it. Probably wants to be a little bit further back. As a result, paying 19, probably the price that it should be, but maybe a fraction over the odds. Matsuda, this is one that's going to come across from a wide gate. It might be one of the only ones to get really posted out wide. It might try and sit 3rd or 4th. And then a lot of outsiders. McWoody was not bad at all behind at Corfu. It seemed to get a little bump. There were 3 of them there in a line. It got a little bump, and then its runs seemed to sort of end at that point. But that was only a length behind Autumn Mystery. It's 60-1 in this derby. And who knows how much it might improve over that 500 metres. It's going to go quite far back from barrier 16. Probably be behind Providence even back there. But if that could work to the outside and build up a head of steam down the straight, who knows? The other one that's probably worth mentioning, because a few of these from wide gates are going to go back, like Arabian Prince, Freddie Bassett, Super Paradise. I mean, they're going to be very far back. Deal Done Fast. This, again, didn't lose by much behind What a Mystery. 1 length. Before that, 2 lengths behind What a Mystery came from 11th. Before that, it was in its maiden, around 2nd. So that's got barrier 1. It's a Kumani trained stayer, so you know that there's a pedigree there. And really, Daniel Stackhouse can put this where he wants it from barrier 1. So that's paying 34. That's probably over the odds. This is a done deal horse, so likely to appreciate the rise in distance. So let's have a quick look at the speed map. So thinking that High Vol and Cracker Deal are going to come across and run, be sitting 1st and 2nd. Observer could try and take it up, but it might just be risky because it's most likely a much better horse than a lot of these, and it might not need to get involved in a speed battle early. Probably from barrier 4 just sits 4th or 5th and takes whatever is offered to it. Azazel probably sits outside it. Matsuda may get posted 3 wide outside of those 2. Then behind those, probably Abazaki on this outside of Sunny Santa. Behind those, O'Shamus on the outside of One Step Closer. And then you may have options behind that on the fence with Miwa on its outside. So options may get a bit bunched up when push comes to shove around the turn. It may be again sort of battling to find a run. Behind options, you probably have Providence on the outside of a horse whose name I need to find. Freddie Bassett, so you probably have Providence on the outside of Freddie. Then you've got McWoody behind that in the running line. Behind that, you've got Autumn Mystery on the fence and Super Paradise outside of it, and then Arabian Prince at the very back. So quite a strung out race with not a lot of obvious speed. O'Shamus options Miwa close enough to threaten. Miwa's at 19, options is at 14 currently, and O'Shamus is around 14 as well, so quite nice prices. And yeah, Providence coming from a bit further back. So to answer the initial question, is Observer worth the price? I don't think it's worth the 215 because a lot can go wrong in a big race like the Derby. We don't know whether that Moonee Valley form is genuine with the track being refurbished. That's an unknown element. Just in general with the results last week, I still don't really buy that sprint race at Jigsaw was a good enough horse to win the way that it did. Some of the other results just I found a bit unusual, so my gut feeling tells me that day probably isn't one to really bank on. And yeah, you can get trapped pretty easily. The case in point would be the Caulfield Guineas. Observer really was trapped there, and it ended up running 3rd, should have been closer. You never know what's going to happen again. So yeah, I would be, there's no reason to not back it. It's the best horse and may well win, but to load up, to go big, not fully sure. Miwa options, O'Shamus, definite threats and good place bets. So for me, it'll be each way, but more on the place and the win for O'Shamus and for options. A small place bet on Deal Done Fast, and then I'll do a Quinella for 1, 4, 5, 9, and 16. I'll throw the 15 too. 1, 4, 5, 9, 15, 16. And then I'll do a couple of trifectas in the betting sheet at the end. I'll look at the speed map and I'll do one where I'll say, cool, this will be very slowly run, so it'll be only horses from the front. And then I'll do a bit of a nightmare scenario where, let's just say that a few of these purported back markers say, you know what, throw caution to the wind, let's just have a crack at the lead here. We need to do something to upset this favourite. If it somehow developed into that kind of scenario, then I'll do a trifecta based on that. What would happen in those circumstances that could pay a lot because no one's expecting it. So I'll put those in at the end. But yeah, that will be. I'm not a huge lover of the Derby normally, but this is quite intriguing. I like it when it's one horse versus the world and seeing what's going to happen. But yeah, I think there's value in O'Shamus and options getting good runs. And O'Shamus should have a better run in that outside running line. So that's probably the preferred place bet in terms of safety. So that's the Derby.